And thank you. I want to welcome everybody to today's call. We're really happy to have our friends from the H2 visa program of El Salvador here today. This call is a great opportunity for us to talk about one of the issues that's the most pressing for the watermelon industry, and that's labor. We're glad to have partners around the world that help us address this and other ways to solve our labor issues and to do it with partners. Before we begin, as always, we got to thank our sponsors. These are annual sponsors, um, and we can't do the good work that we do without them at Convention Beyond. But really wanted to use the slides just to confirm and welcome Francisco Avalar, the outreach specialist for the H2 visa program of El Salvador. Um, his colleague Martin Bruce Hansen, the head of outreach for the program, may be able to join us later. But either way, they're a team that is helping work on this topic. We've had the chance to speak in advance, and there's some pretty exciting opportunities for us to collaborate with El Salvador. And I'm going to turn it over right away to Francisco to elaborate a little bit on that. So without further ado, here's Francisco. Oh, you're muted. Sorry about that.
Sorry, there you go. I'm so sorry. So thank you, George, for the introduction, and good afternoon to everybody, or good morning, wherever your time zone is. So yes, I'm the outreach consultant for a third-party contractor. We do help, and we work through USAID, obviously, and our third-party contractor is Palladium International, and we help the government of El Salvador. And in my case, but there's different persons around the country helping for the Guatemalan, Honduras, and Haiti program, which is the Northern Triangle H2 visa program that it's being executed by USAID through the third party contractors. So I just wanted to share that a little introduction of where this program is coming from. Being said that, I'm going to share my screen um, with all of you. You can give me just 1 second here. We can go ahead and start. Please let me know when you can see it.
Looks good.
Perfect. So, as I said initially, this is a program that's being executed by USAID. It's the program. It's called Economic Competitiveness Project H2 Temporary Work Visa Program. So it's being executed in the four countries that I told you about: El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and Haiti. My direct work as an outreach is for the El Salvador country. So um, well, we're going to talk a little bit about the program here and how the process, um, how, how the process is in place and everything that it's behind it, so that we can make possible uh, to bring workers to U.S. employers. So, being said that, this program it's possible thanks obviously to international treaties and coordinated through the work of both governments of obviously United States and El Salvador to establish the agricultural programs and non-agricultural temporary workers. As you all know, the H2A visa program has been in place for a long time already in the US, H2B as well, directly for the H2A and H2B programs for the Northern Triangle. It's a little bit more recent. So this is something that's been promoted within both governments so that we can help the U.S. employers due to the lack of labor that we're experiencing in the past years. So the program, obviously, the vision is to seek to provide American employers with the necessary workforce to cover their needs and to ensure the proper staffing of their companies. And obviously, it helps to provide those opportunities for Salvadoran or the other three countries that I spoke to you about, to bring in their nationals into the U.S. through a legal, orderly, and safely process. And this is the main point of promoting H2A and H2B, so that we can provide that opportunity through a legal way to giving a job to these people that can help U.S. employers. There's an institutional ecosystem that we work around. Obviously, this program, it's being executed directly in each country by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Guatemala and Honduras does it differently. They do go through the Ministry of Labor. So that brings it to, I need to comment this because it's very important due to the timing that the companies might probably take longer, due to the fact that the Ministry of Labor has to go into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and then to the U.S. Embassy. So it takes a little bit more time. In El Salvador is a little bit different. So it's handled directly through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which has a direct contact and interinstitutional communication and relationship with the U.S. Embassy. As you can see here is the third destination government. It says U.S. Embassy of San Salvador, and obviously the Department of Labor. So the timing reduces uh, by by a lot of days to get approval so that the workers can travel. Our main allies, obviously, coming from the USAID and the Organization of International Migration, and the private sector in each and in the U.S. and in El Salvador. These are some of the names of the associations or recruitment agencies that we've worked with in the past 2-3 years. They're very big recruitment agencies that we work with, so that some companies like to work directly with recruitment agencies. So we respect that process. Why do I say this? Because this is a government supported program. So everything that you'll see from here forward, the process and getting all the getting your workers approved, the service behind it is free of charge. So there's no fee whatsoever to be charged to the worker, which is illegal, by the way. And we don't charge anything to the companies or the recruitment agencies or farm labor contractors in whatever the case might be. So there's a support that we have in each country. These are institutions that are based in El Salvador directly. For example, there are institutions in the other countries as well that provide um, the capabilities to provide some type of abilities to the workers that are in need of having more, a certain type of ability to develop a job specifically. So these are like institutions, educational institutions that provide those that provide that support to give those main abilities that are needed in some of the companies that require specific job duties. So, and whenever they get to travel, we make sure that they are able to go and do the job that is requested in the job description or the job or the contract itself. Please, if there are any questions, we can. I don't know, George, if we can hold this for the at the end, or if anybody has a question, please let me know. And so continue with the presentation. I just wanted to give an overview of how the H2 applications were processed this year, this fiscal year 2023. So the program itself handles all the DS-160 filings, which is I'm sure that everybody knows that this is the filings that are needed in order to get the visas approved. So this is the filing that goes with the visa fee itself, which is $205, which changed this summer from 195 to 205 per visa. This visa cost, it's something that needs to be covered by the company, and it's under all the H2 laws that U.S. employers need to have in place. So our personnel that we have in our team is trained by the consulate itself, which greatly enhances the efficiency that is needed in order to process all these documentations. And obviously, this training that our team receives reduces all the processing times that sometimes initially we had when we started, and this reduces the possibility for errors and obviously increases the chances of a visa being approved by requesting the exact information that is needed from each candidate. So under the regular conditions, the consular section requires around 2 to 3 weeks to process a visa. I can tell you this is less. We've seen groups of visas coming approved in 1 week after we send all the paperwork to them. And thanks obviously to the expedited processing that we have in place for our program, they're processed in 4 business days. So that's basically the week. The approval rate that we had this year, it's almost 97%. That 3%, it's obviously the ones that were denied due to an internal process that the U.S. Embassy obviously goes through, and they do their own investigations around the people that are applying for the visa. So if that 3% that are denied is because there's something behind these people that are not able to travel, right? So this is something that's better for the companies as well, because you know that we're not sending or you're not receiving people that might probably have a problem or will have a problem in the near future, etc. So this year itself, obviously a few days ago, DHS announced that the supplemental visa cap will be raised for 2024. They will be allocating 20,000 visas reserved for El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, and Haiti. So see, they're adding more countries as we go. So this program, it started in 2020. The treaty was signed before pandemic. Then pandemic hit, and we obviously everything was stopped for 2020, and we started again in 2021. This country-specific allocations is part of the Biden-Harris administration's effort to build a safe, orderly, and humane immigration system, obviously including expanding lawful pathways for immigration. And besides the 20,000 H2B visas, the allocation that we had for 2024, 44,700 supplemental visas will be available to returning workers who received H2B visa, in this case, during the last 3 fiscal years that we've been working. So again, the program is growing. There's no cap for H2A. Just want to make sure that everybody gets this, because for H2A, there's no cap. This is just for H2B.
And I'll say for our guys, I think H2B is probably only applicable for processors. We're most of our members are going to be 100% H2A. So it's not that there aren't places where that's not applicable, but I think the reinforcing the full H2 process from El Salvador is a good thing here. And I'm also trying to track here and make note of some of the places where, because the people in the call are such heavy users of the H2A program, some of the places where we're seeing benefits. And it sounds like so far, really one of the things to highlight is that processing time and the staff on your team that are working on that. So I'll let you go there. I was just pulling out some of my
Yeah.
notes as we progress.
Don't worry. You can, if anybody has a question, please just jump in and let me and interrupt. I'm more than glad to clarify anything, any doubt that you guys have. And just to add to what George said, the H2A, it's being promoted more and more, and because it's bringing people for H2A visas from the Northern Triangle is not a is it has not been as usual as other countries like Mexico, for example. But now H2A for these countries, which have the most of the field work, it's just coming from crops itself. So it's very um, we have a huge database of H2A workers, and in total, I think we added this 2023 fiscal year. We finished with a database of 200,000 agricultural workers that are available. So this is something that it's amazingly. We can find anybody that it's needed for a specific type of job that it's needed. So a little bit of our recap this year. We placed 5,100 workers in companies all throughout the U.S. This includes H2B and H2A. This is a mix of both. We already have obviously thousands of vetted and interviewed candidates ready to travel this coming season. So this is something that this advanced. This is faster than anything that we've had before, because since all the people that it's in this database have already been vetted and interviewed by our team. So when a company comes and requests some workers are needed for a specific crop, we just know where to go and get them, and we just share those profiles with the company so that we can do this process as fast as possible. Um, so going into more detail about our requirements and services, what do we need from you to start the process? So there's before these four steps are taken into consideration, we just need to have in place that certification that it's needed by the Department of Labor first, and then the USCIS, which is Immigration Services certification as well. If the companies are certified by the DOL and USCIS, then this process would take 2 weeks instead of 3 months, because the DOL and the DOL certification and USCIS certification takes a little bit more time, which is not part of our process. So our process is when the companies are already certified, and then we come in and just request the official job order, which is the specific profile and describes the specific profile that the company is looking for to fill in their company, and it's the job description or job order which is called by the Department of Labor. This can be part of the contract as well. There's doesn't need to be a separate contract that we need to have in order for them to be signed. The candidates can sign the job order or the job description. So once we have that, then we obviously need the I-797 document, which is uh, the document that comes from USCIS or the approval. We can start the process with the email approval, because not all the companies receive this certification when immediately you get approved. So it takes a little bit of time. So initially they send out an email, which I know, which you probably everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's an approval email, and that approval email, it's it's perfect for us to start the process internally and obviously with the embassy. But whenever you get that certification through emails or through regular mail, then we need that document to be scanned and sent to us, because that supports our profile that has been created for that company. And The contract, we need it in English and Spanish. If there's no translation from your end, we can do that for you as well. Which initially, what I said, the job order suffices with what is needed, and and we can obviously, if there's a contract in English, we can translate it with our team as well, or the offer letter. And and then we define the final elements, which is obviously the visa fee payment, which is done directly by the employee or the candidate, or some companies share their information like a credit card, which is just shared through to the consultant, which is me. I handle that information very delicately, and I take care of that information, and I process that payment of the visa fees. And obviously, all the receipts and everything is just safeguarded so that we can share that with the company as well. And after that fee payment, we have the consular interviews that are not requested directly to the candidate, because what I mentioned earlier with that interinstitutional communication and relationship that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has with the U.S. Embassy, they allow us to send 2 or 3 times a week all the visa paperwork and passports that are ready to be processed, and they are not required to come into the consulate to an interview, or have a, be physically there. The workers don't have to do that. So we send that to the embassy. They come back to us with visas approved or denied. If they're denied without even telling the candidate, it's because obviously there's something very wrong, which we don't get that information directly, because the embassy handles the information personal. So with each candidate. So what happens is, when the consulate wants more information from a specific candidate, they they um, they request to schedule an interview, an in-person interview. When that is requested, or they have scheduled an interview, we know that 99.9% of the time they will get denied. So whenever we get that request, we immediately let you know what's happening, so that we can, and immediately with that notification, we send 2 or 3 more profiles for you to review, and you can tell us, okay, I'm good with this candidate, and we send that candidate, that backup candidate, to the process, and he so that he can get approved, right? And at the end, we work together with the companies for travel logistics. Travel logistics, obviously, as the Department of Labor and USCIS requires that each company pays for all the travel expenses behind, take I mean to all the travel expenses needed in order to get that worker to the company, right? And that means airplane tickets, meals during the day, just during the travel day, and obviously if they need to pernoctate or spend the night somewhere during their travel, obviously hotel rooms are needed to take into consideration, and the payments as well. Some of the requirements for the workers, obviously, that they need to have experience in their field work. Uh, these are very obvious requirements which we need to from them. Need to have from them to have a clean criminal record. We request from them, when we vet and interview the workers, we request for them to be able to be in the database. They need to have 2 certifications from the police department, and obviously from uh, the jail institutions in El Salvador, that they don't have any issues with the law. So that's a certification that it's needed, it's required, and obviously right now, that complete immunization against COVID was something that it was required at least 2 years back, but right now it's been handled differently. But I mean, a lot of the population of El Salvador is it's completely immunized. So the other requirements that they need to have optimal health conditions in order to do the hard labor that's required sometimes for H2A workers, and have strong family roots in El Salvador. Why we say that? Because we investigate these people before they can be even in our database, that they have children or they're married, or we investigate their family. Um, why? Because we need to make sure that they're going to be back somehow because of having this strong family roots back in the country. So this is very important for us. And what do we offer? As obviously as the service that I'm explaining is, we find the candidates for you. We do all that process for the companies. We do that recruitment together with the company. If the company requires interviews, we schedule those interviews virtually. And I'm there always because sometimes there's a translation needed between worker and employer. So we do that together if it's required. Some companies don't require that because we already did the process, but some of them just want to do it, and obviously they want to know who's coming to the company, and they just want to speak with them, right? So um, we once they travel, there's a that step in between this pillar number 2 and pillar number 3. It's when they travel to the company. So once they are arrived to the company, we assist the process by monitoring all the we monitor all the process in when they're here, obviously, well, during the whole season. It's not that we just bring the worker to the company and we just don't ever speak again. No, this is something that we take very serious, because we want to make sure that with a worker that we brought to this company, um, they're happy with them, obviously, and that they're doing what the contract stated. And obviously we need to know that the worker is doing the right things to fulfill that job, and that everything is in process, in line, right? So sometimes we have issues with the workers not doing something that the contract stated. So we just go in and help the companies uh, and talk to these people so that they can get aligned. Or if not, we just send them back home, as easy as that. And we make sure that the whole process itself is monitored, right? And so that the company feels safe with the workers that they're bringing, and obviously the workers feel safe with the company they're working with. And once the contract is over, we make sure that they return as well. So we work together with the companies with their flight itineraries, and we just make sure that they just travel and get back home, and we are able to see that they if they return or not, because since we have all that interinstitutional communication with for the program itself, we just know who returns and who doesn't. So once they return, we have another process. It's a final process, which is that reintegration and evaluation. So the ministry assists the returning workers with guidance on budgeting or job guidance if they don't want to go back to or come back to the U.S. to do to work again in a second season or the following season. The ministry has another program internally where they help them find jobs locally, or some people that came to work to the US just wanted it to come for a year and save some money for an entrepreneurial idea that they probably had. And there's an entrepreneurship program internally as well, where if the worker saved some money and wants to put his own business, we help them and guide them through the process so that they can do that as well and stay in El Salvador. And obviously, this is the four pillar of um, process that we have in order to help the companies. This is the H2A worker profile that we have. Obviously, there's a little bit more men than women, but we have a huge amount of people ready for whatever it's needed. These are some examples of the crops that we have placed people here in the U.S. for, and obviously have the agriculture experience that needs to be behind these profiles as well, including the aquaculture as well, livestock, tobacco, and greenhouses and nurseries, among others. So the educational level, primary schools is in in third world countries. Obviously, the educational level is not as high as developed countries. So uh, at least they do have the primary school level, and which is because basically most workers for H2A are they live in the rural areas, and they just work and work and work and in the fields all day. So um, this is the H2B worker profile. I guess this is nothing. This doesn't apply for most of the members of the association, but we have this for just a recap here. We have people placed in different industries with H2B workers, from cooks to landscaping, servers, housekeepers, construction, manufacturing, you name it. So we have people all over the place. And once everything is ready and approved, the program has an, an agreement with one of the major airlines. I cannot mention the airline in a presentation itself, but I can tell you that it's United Airlines that we have that agreement with. So, but we are not allowed to put in the presentation their logo or their name due to their internal regulations. So, um, we have a 10% discount on airfares with them, and we have an agreement with them as well, with so that we can chaperone at large airports to guide those workers depending on availability when booking as well. So we can get workers uh, chaperoned once they arrived into the port of entry until they get connected to their next flight, if that's the case. Or if they just stay in that port of entry, they just guide them all the way until they get picked up by the company transportation. So for groups traveling together, for every 15 passengers, the 16th flies for free. We just need to pay those taxes, which are less than $100 in some cases. So there's another point here: the best rate guarantee. So if there's something cheaper online, the airline will match it. So that's something that we have an agreement with them. So this is very important as well. And why we like to do this with them, because United has flights to everywhere. So it's not like some other local airlines that they just travel to specific cities. So with United, it's been very it's been great to have that this agreement with them, because they have given up, besides giving this options to us and to the employers and employees, it's the option that we can get those workers to wherever it's needed. And they have a great flexibility as well with name changes and rebooking. When if you don't have this agreement and you want to do it by yourself, all these name changes and rebooking has a cost behind it. So with this agreement, there's no cost behind it. So this is great. Even if the worker misses their flight and there was no notification of what happened, we can change and the date and rebook it or another date. So they have been very flexible with this. And obviously, behind this program, there's a corporate social responsibility that we obviously are looking to fulfill, right? So if, if you can imagine, the minimum wage in El Salvador ranges from $240 to 365 per month, depending obviously on the sector or industry. It's very low. So according to our statistics, um, obviously we have interviewed all the workers, and from the database that we have, they hope to use that vastly superior U.S. salaries to obviously provide a better education for their children, build a better or respectable home for their families, and start a business sometimes. So we like this quote here, that whenever your company hires a Salvadoran worker, not only are you getting a great worker, but you also help transform their lives and their families. So this is very important to us as well. So, and Salvadorans are considered to be hard workers. So and for to be honest with you, in Central America, they do have that reputation of being very hard workers, and they just do whatever they need to do in order to get their their work done, and very well done as well. So
Francisco, I think I'll just chime in for a second here. We
yeah,
had a great conversation. Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like you were going right to close there. Sorry.
yeah.
But we had a great
That was the last
conversation.
one.
Yeah, when we were talking about, I had a work experiences as a kid working with Salvadoran workers in a restaurant. So it's something that's it has a tie for me as well. But I know um, a lot of the people that are on the call are going through a lot of these logistical details
Hmm.
through their through an employment contractor that is doing that. So if they're going to make a reference to them, just what would you put as kind of your top talking points for this is why they should refer their contract employment provider to consider getting to be a part of this program and sourcing workers from El Salvador.
Well, thank you, George, for that, and I think it's very important to have um, the 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 backup. I would maybe mainly refer to that the company might probably have to do the hiring through a government institution in El Salvador, because some of the hiring that's been done in other countries, which I'm not saying it's been bad or not, it's just having that sense of relief that we are sending and sharing workers or candidates that have been profiled or vetted and interviewed, and we have gone through all their backgrounds and everything, so we know that they can do the job that's required, one, and obviously that they don't have criminal records, and three, that they need to go back to El Salvador. So that's a very important one. There's an abscondment rate, obviously. It has existed every year with all the H2 programs that have been created. Our abscondment rate, it's 6% from all the people that we have placed. Um, and this has something to do with the lack of information. So whenever the people come, or the candidates or workers come into the company, and they don't feel like they can communicate too well, or the information or the job duties have not been explained to them very well, or that they don't have the tools to develop specific job that it's required, that's when these people just get worried, or they just they look other ways in order to find their way back home sometimes, or maybe there's a relative already in the states, they're saying, you should just leave that job and come work with me where I'm working or living at. That we don't have control of. So that's something that it might probably always exist, but I can guarantee all of your members that if the communications is clear and that the treatment that they receive is humane, they will work forever and they will do more than it's required. So I think this is something that uh, we need to let the companies know. And why to do it with this program as well? Because obviously it's free of charge, and we work with all the contractors, the recruitment agencies. We don't we work together with this institution. So I don't find we have lots of companies that have worked with us that we might probably can have testimonials around what we have done in the past, and we can share that with them as well.
Appreciate that. And if it's good for you, I will turn it over, see if anybody has any questions here.
Yes, of course. In the meantime, this is the information where you can reach me to those two numbers. My personal number is the 9701. The 850 number is for Martin Bruce Hansen, and it's a direct number. So they're mobile phones. We can, if we don't answer, obviously you can leave a message and we get back to you as soon as possible. And the email's right there. My personal email is Francisco, and it has the same um, termination there, which is mine is Francisco at escpvisas.com.
Sounds great. Look into the group, see if there's anything else as we're
Hey,
closing up
George.
here. Hey, John.
Hey, how are you? So
Doing
I
good.
just have one quick question. I had a little audio trouble for like the first 10 minutes of the call, but I got most of it. But my question was, I noticed, I believe you recorded this. Is it possible to forward that to me? Because
Alert
at
from
the end of the
Microsoft
day,
Power.
for me, this is if this is information I'd like to forward to my labor contractor and share with them.
Yeah, John, I am going to be able to share this after the fact. It is recording, and I I'm going to share it out. I'm going to share it out to the membership, but I think that's probably the tag I'm going to put on it is, this is something to send to your labor contractor, because I think that there's a lot of other members that are in that situation where that's probably the route they'll take it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You know what? And